Boosie's daughter is in the news because she's apparently upset at her dad because her dad is not accepting her new gay lifestyle. So Boosie originally made noise this week. During the interview that Boosie was having, he mentioned the relationship he has with his daughter, and we have that clip set up for you.
So when your daughter came out and told you she was gay, it was nothing. I mean, she still can't bring her situation to our house. My daughter's grown. Well, why is she grown? Because I don't want it to contaminate her other. It's a generation we raised. I don't want her to get to contaminate it to her other 6, 7 sisters who look up to her. I want them to bring me grandchildren the right way.
Boosie crazy.
If I want grandchildren the right way, that's what I'm going to stand on. You know, if I don't want my other little girl to look at that and say, what's that, Daddy?
Contaminated.
To somebody she looks up to, it's not going to come around. My grandpa didn't let it. My daddy didn't let it. And I didn't let it. I just hope the one under me, when they take this throne, they don't let it. Because that's not what our family believes in. Like you say, we Southern Baptists. You know, I love me and my daughter relationship like this. But when she understands everything, she know Daddy don't go, she know. But that's what she chooses to do. But she know we don't go, we don't go for that.
Yeah, so Boosie was, okay, so this was a live edition of Caresha Please, Young Miami, ironically, who we were talking about. Yeah, so this happened at Revolt World 2024, the live edition of Young Miami's Caresha Please.
I have no problem with what he said.
Yeah.
He's a man of his house. He's taking care of his house, and he doesn't want her influence to contaminate the rest of the kids. He wanted the rest of the kids to have an innocent life and understand, boy, girl, and everything. Now, once you get grown and you decide you want to live that lifestyle, you can. You are out of my house. So he ain't condemning her for what she doing. You just can't bring that around my crib.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I don't agree with Boosie's views on homosexuals, but I do agree it's his house. His rules.
He said it clearly. Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
So they don't. If that's his belief, he's telling you, and he's standing on 10 toes with and saying it with his chest poked out. He ain't cutting no corners. He ain't putting around his. So whether you agree with him or not, he's telling you, this is my belief. This is what I was raised up. This is how I raised my kids. Now, because she became an adult and she decided she wanted to live this lifestyle, that is her decision. It's a difference when it's women that's not your kids versus somebody that is your kid.
Exactly.
You feel what I'm saying? So women that's not your kids, if they doing some type of, if it has something to do with a threesome or whatever the case may be, me personally, I don't get off on women. That's just me. I don't care about that. Some men do. So again, it's not hypocritical. He lays the law in his house. He's the man of the house. He's taking care of his household. If these are the rules and regulations in his house, that's what it means. Now, again, he said he loved his daughter. He supported her, but she's not allowing that to influence her siblings.
Yeah. I was thinking along the same lines. Like I said, I don't agree with Boosie's views, but also at the same time, it is his house, and his daughter is of age. So she is, I believe, over 18.
Yeah.
She is fully legally able to get her own place.
Do her own thing.
I believe she should get her own crib so she can les out in peace without it affecting, her father or.
You know why she did it? We live in a digital world now. This is cancel culture. She's trying to gain clout off her dad for her own benefit, which you knew that. Well, you even decided you wanted to live that lifestyle. You knew how your pops were. So it's not a surprise how the way he's acting. The fact that you're trying to call him out, trying to embarrass him, to make him do something that he obviously doesn't want to do, that's the weak part about this whole. Yeah. And that's the thing that I have a problem with, this cancel culture. Everything is not pristine. It's not gonna be done right. It's not gonna be done. Some of this that's like I call in-house shock. Some of you need that. I have never seen a lot of homeless kids, young adults between the ages 18 and 25. Just go down there on South Saunders or Fayetteville Street. You see damn near 20 of them walking back
up and
forth.
down, begging.
Yeah, walking back and forth. Why is that? Because those parents gave them a sense of entitlement that these got to get out here and work. Y'all black. Everything you fight for is from the time you wake your ass up to the time God calls your ass. You must fight. You must get yours. You got to outwork your counterpart 3 times as harder. But the fact that I see 18 and 25 walking around homeless, no job, no career.
Yeah. So, not to have the last word, Boosie's daughter left a response.
You keep speaking on me gay. You keep doing interviews and I don't say nothing, right? The first ever interview you did, you said you found out I was gay, that I like girls and I had a girlfriend from a picture that went viral. That was a lie. I let that slide. I never addressed it. You found out I was gay a year before that. The incident happened in Jamaica when I was a gay B-word, when you called me a gay B-word. So if the world really knew all the things and the hurtful things you told me before and I forgave you, you wouldn't even understand. And no matter how you feel, at the end of the day, nigga, I'm your blood. I am your daughter.
She sat there and said it. You already knew how your dad stood on it. Mm-hmm. You knew what you knew what his thoughts about that and everything, and you knew the possibility of what would happen if you decided to live that lifestyle. You live in a lifestyle. He's not condemning you. I'm assuming somebody asked him the question and he answered honestly. Everybody know Boosie is not gonna cut no corners. He's not gonna sugarcoat. He gonna say something, most likely gonna piss somebody off. But is what he's saying is true? Yeah, it's true.
But should he be throwing his daughter under the bus?
Is that throwing him out there? How is that throwing the bus?
Why are you putting her business out there?
How you know she didn't ask? He wasn't asked a question.
But still, nevertheless, you can decline to ask questions. Now, this is your daughter. This is your child. Her psyche is the most important thing. Now, you're saying that she's embarrassing him, but you don't think she's being embarrassed by him as well?
Oh, yeah. She's being embarrassed by him.
Not necessarily,
yes,
because
she is.
How so?
Because maybe she doesn't want that out there
If you choose to be gay, bisexual, nowadays, it's free to come out. It ain't like how when we was coming up, between 18 and 25, if you came out, that was a death sentence as far as your career, the livelihood, all that shit. You wasn't making no money. Now it's different.
I respect Boosie's outlook on you can't bring it in my house. Like you said, that is his house. He makes the rules on his house. I agree totally with that. You can't demean him or anything for that. But the way he's going about the situation, I personally don't like. I wouldn't do that to my daughter or my son for that reason.
Okay. Well, I based on what he said, he really didn't talk no. He was just telling, look, this is my belief. She can do what she's grown. She can do what she do. Hey, I support it. But I'm not allowing that to influence the other children. You feel what I'm saying? Because they need to develop in an innocent mind. It's bad enough everything else around them. You know what I'm saying? You got to answer. You got to double back. You got to make sure, like the incident that he had a few years ago, we was talking about he let his son up. You feel what I'm saying? Why would he have to do? He had a point,
though. How old was his son?
Well, I think he was like 14, 15.
Yeah, so
his son was a minor.
Disagree, because then you're in the wrong for that.
In a sense, okay.
There's no in a sense.
Your
son's being assaulted.
He's not being assaulted. If your dad's there and he's basically
it's
assault. Yeah, it's assault, bro. However you want to break. He's a 14-year-old kid.
You know wait. When the first time you had some?
That's never.
No.
Was it with?
The question?
That's not the question.
The question
is,
I
asked you.
When?
The question I asked
I was 15. But were my parents anywhere around it? Did my parents kick in on me?
Because your parents
was the girl
because
minor.
Your parents would not agree with it. And at that time when you was coming up, you did not have to worry about accepting somebody who's gay. Nowadays you have to.
So,
hey,
however you
listen.
slice
This
it,
is
sexual assault.
This is the reason why me personally, I don't feel it's sexual assault because 9 times out of 10 he asked his son, and his son was probably cool with it. Now, if you raising your child, listen to what I'm saying. You raise your child the image of yourself. So if Boosie carry himself like that, you don't think his boy's gonna pick up what he's doing? Yes, he is.
So the two red bones kissing, they're going to pick up on that too. Then,
I mean, is those red bones his kids?
nevertheless,
Is they his kids?
Nevertheless,
We're talking about. So let's
preaching kind of a
no.
hypocritical
Because what you said, no. What we're saying is, as a parent today, you gotta accept LGBTQs. You gotta accept trans in high school. You got to explain that to your kids. Like, Dad, what's up with this? You feel what I'm saying? So, outside of talking, right? You gotta be proactive. Make sure that these don't get curious because kids at that time, they're between age 12 and 18. Those are curious years.
But
listen
you're
to
not
what I'm
going to
saying.
stop him from being curious because you're
right.
doing
so
that.
So now, if I'm a parent, I can damn near push it to where if he's going to be curious, it's going to be on a quote-unquote right track. Because a lot of these kids get out here, they sit here and go through a traumatic incident. Like, for instance, they got their heart broken, right? They got let down and whatever the case may be. You know how it was when we came up. If you got played by a girl, you got your heart broken, you cried or whatever, dust your pants off, you go try it again. Go find another one. Nowadays, just go to the same sex. They go to the same sex when they experience a trip. Yes, I know for a fact.
I work with a bunch of kids.
I know. Yeah, right.
I work with a bunch of kids, and
Exactly.
I've never had a young man go from going with a young woman to a guy. I've never had that.
I've
never had that.
It's been plenty of women doing that though.
Oh yeah, women do.
And the percentage of men doing it, especially young, is creeping up. It's not being talked about enough. The fact of the matter is more as our country starting to, we have to accept these offset behavior patterns. And as a parent, we got to walk this delicate line. You can't even raise your child the way without, because before.
But if your child wants to do it, you have no say so in it.
Right now, if you see a transvestite come into school, you see a boy or a girl dressing the opposite sex than what they are, your child sees that. They gonna ask questions. You as a parent, you got to offset that. Now, Boosie, he's in the streets. So he's not gonna be as pragmatic as normal, quote unquote, normal parents. He in the streets. So my boy is between 14. This is around the time he's curious about. I'm gonna make sure he get a taste of it. So the fact of the matter is, if one of those entities I just said, somebody that's a trans boy, especially if a girl come in the boys' bathroom and shit like that, or the opposite way, your child experienced that shit immediately. Ain't nobody condemning that. You can't condemn that. You can't say. So the fact that this man sitting here offset that you are forced to accept, he's making sure that his loins doesn't go wrong. I have no problem with that. Because again, you have to accept what's considered a normal now. Kids are coming to school being the opposite sex. If your child is a heterosexual, has not experienced yet, or maybe on the experiment side as a parent, especially as a man, your sons, you don't want to see that happening. So you're going to do whatever it has to take. You don't give a fuck about what the people say on the outside of your goddamn house, because them not the ones that gotta raise your kid.
But see, this is the thing. I'm not living for what anybody else thinks. For me, and I told this to my dad. He was like, "How would you feel if your child was gay?" I don't care. I could care less. The only thing I care about is him being healthy. I don't care about what you do and stuff like that. That's not my business. You see what I'm saying? You're trying to intercede in something that has nothing to do with you. It's not your life. I can tell you, yeah, this is how it goes. But if you go that path, that's your path to go. I'm still going to claim you. I'm still going to love you. All that stuff.
But in this case, they're still in developmental stage, and they're in your house. So that's a total different ball game. You don't get to make that choice.
And like I said, I agree with him there. But once they're out of the house, you can't do whatever they do is what they do.
That's what he's saying. He's not doing that. But what he is saying is you not bringing your ass around the kids so they can feed off what you doing. Because they going to ask questions. Well, sis, you like girls? Why you doing that? And that's going to go against his parenting, where he got to train his kids to grow up to be like. They're still going to hear from her anyway. Again, hearing from her versus interacting with her on a regular basis is two different things.
Yeah.
Two different things.
I mean, true, but nevertheless, I don't know. I'm just against kind of making your child feel a certain way because you're their parent.
If you are in my house, I take care of you. You don't make that decision until you are grown. Because then it's a lifestyle that you got to pay financially, as well as mentally, as well as physically. As a parent, I'm already taking care of the financial part. And I gotta nurture your mental as well as your physical until you're able to get out there and make that subconscious decision on your own. Because once you make that, you got to be able to take that line of heat that comes with that shit. In some circles, a lot of circles, it ain't acceptable. Even though the laws protect them for them to be that way openly. So the thing about it is, if you in my house, you a teenager / young adult, the day I don't pay for nothing for you, you can make the decision you want. As long as my dollars, my influence affecting your life for the better, you gonna listen to what the I say.
Like I said, I agree with him on the house thing, but I wish him and his daughter could work something out where they could get.
But I don't think, like I said,
I don't think that's gonna happen.
And then too,
I would hope so, but that's just the parent in me.
Yeah,
I want every parent to have a great relationship with their child, regardless of what their child is doing or going through. As long as it's not hurting anybody else or killing anybody. It's, growing up is a tough time. We've all been there. Growing up is a tough time, like you say, experimentation, stuff like that, and just as a child to think like my parents wouldn't stand behind something I chose to do, would be painful because like you say, your parents support everything you do.
Correct. But those decision makings is not, you can't make those decisions and take them lightly because like I said, this generation's from what I've experienced, for what I've encountered, this happened more on the women's side, and it's starting to catch up on the men's side as well. When they go through bad breakups and they don't know how to manage that and recover from that, especially if it's somebody who's living that lifestyle, they'll take a chance on them because that's a quote unquote weak state of mind that they're in because they was let down by the opposite sex. Here go the same sex.
I mean, but for me, I never thought, regardless of how many times a girl broke up with me when I was younger, I never thought I'm gonna go try this dude over here. That never crossed my mind.
The key to that is you never had that opportunity for that even creep in your head.
No, that's women.
The opportunity was there, but the thought never came up.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you have been taught to hey, you fall, you get up and brush your pants off and try it again.
Exactly.
A lot of these kids is not raised like that. They're not raised to withstand adversity. Usually adversity hits them, they crumble. That's why you got this cancel culture out here like it is the way they are. You guys should do this the right way. No, the world was built up before you, me, and the likes of me over 1,000 years. Society has been built this way. Now, it's supposed to evolve every few hundred years. Yes, naturally. But how the way they trying to do things now, like if you yell at up, cancel. You know what I'm saying? There's no backbone amongst the younger generation, in my opinion. Because when we came up, you ain't had a goddamn option. You better do it.
But see, that's why I think the thing is it's nothing wrong with boom. When I was growing up, my parents weren't my friends. Right. They made it clear I'm not your friend.
I'm not your friend.
But when I get older, then we want to transition into friendship.
Because you're an adult.
Now, my problem with that is why couldn't we do that earlier? Because in all actuality, I'm your best friend.
I'm about to tell you why.
In all actuality, I'm your best friend as your child.
I'm about to tell you why. Because the simple fact is, as a child, right, you're in training mode. You're in training mode. We ain't friends. You have to learn that it's another form of respecting your parent as well as scare tactic.
But why we can't be friends, but you still do that same stuff?
As a child, you're still not, some kids doesn't understand when somebody tells them no means no. Some of them still like babies. They still got to touch that and they got to get burned to realize that that's hot. So as a parent, you want to set the tone immediately. We ain't friends. I'm your parent. I love you. I'll support you. I'll do whatever it is that needs to do for you. I will go to war for your ass. But you gonna listen to what the tell you to do. And once your ass get grown and you gain the experience to make decisions, and I ain't gotta take care of you financially, physically, mentally, do your thing. It's a difference.
I just think that's where a lot of relationships between parent and child went kind of awry, because but that's my personal thought. I think that's kind of where it went awry. They are your friends. They're your best friends.
Yeah, but you gotta have boundaries.
Your very best friend.
Your best friend is your wife or your husband.
But nevertheless, your wife can leave you. I always tell people that blood stuff.
And 9 times the kid going with the mom.
When people always talk about, the wife and stuff, how you got to put her before your mom, I'm always like, yeah, if I was married, I'd love my wife. But see, there's a hierarchy and a bloodline in my family. And my mom is the top of that bloodline, regardless of who likes it or not. Then the kids fall into my bloodline. My wife was never in the bloodline. So I'm always going to be I'm always going to differ to the people that have my blood running through them. That's how I look at things. The wife is always expendable. Not to say it like that, because most people want their marriages to work forever, but we know that marriages don't work, and the wife does become expendable, but you still got the kid that has your blood.
Correct.
So, but I'm sorry.
I mean, like I said, my thing, you have to create a healthy boundary. Like, we ain't friends. I'm your parent. Mm-hmm. I love you. I support you. I will kill over your ass. You feel what I'm saying? But when I say how high, when I say jump, you supposed to say how high, in a respectful, loving manner, not in an abusive. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You can be a firm parent, have that, because see, the difference is what you're doing is you train your child. There's levels to this shit. You can't go and collect $200 if you ain't take your ass around the board. And that's what's happening with kids today. They don't take their ass around the board. They go past that shit, and they collecting their money, and that's what they expect. Where us, we learn to grind. We learn to be patient. We learn to wait. When we get to that certain level, we get that shit by being consistent. Nowadays, these don't want to wait.
But
they don't want to work for that.
The whole point is, first of all, society has become a lot softer. But the second thing is, as a parent, you kind of do want to make life a little bit easier for your child.
I make it easy for you by, hey, this is training right here. I'm training you. So when I give you the tough talk, when I give you the shock value in the house, I'm preparing you. So when you go out in these streets, hey, my daddy done told me this. I already know what it is. Because you know why? Every type of answer they want, if you sit here bull not being real with them, somebody gonna tell them. Only difference is the ones that's telling them gonna tell them some bull. At least you have a chance to form and shape that vision for them. So when they do get out here and do start talking, nah, Pop's mom already schooled me on that. And even let's just play devil's advocate for a minute. Let's just say they hard-headed. They still gonna want to see it for themselves, because plenty of them would. Mm-hmm. Fine, let them do that, but they cannot say they didn't know.
Oh, but they need to see it for themselves. I can't show it to you. I can tell you.
But it's different though when you got knowledge firsthand, and either you gonna listen to the knowledge and don't even try to see. Let me see.
Let me ask you a question, both of y'all. Being that, how much did you did the touch method? I got to see if it burns, right or wrong.
Did you do
the touch method, Dove?
Nah, not me, because I wasn't considered. I didn't become a risk taker until early in my adult life. I was a conservative.
I was always I got to see for myself.
I was conservative.
That's how I was.
Nah, I wasn't that type.
That's why
I ain't get ass whoopings a lot. And when I got ass whooping, I didn't. Hey, I ain't gonna front. I didn't get ass whoopings a lot. I was one. Of
Well, I'm glad Boo ain't here.
Ass whoopings, I was getting ass whoopings taking them for the team.
And then you got to think now. My dad's a military guy,
Right.
so he's already pissed because he got to work for them.
Exactly.
So he get home, we done pissed him off.
Right.
Meat.
Right. So like I said, I wasn't that one that's like, and my mom said that shit hot. I ain't gonna go see how hot it is. I'm gonna leave that alone.
I had to touch it. I'm sorry. I had to touch it.
I ain't touching it.
You had to touch it? No. Yeah, I had to touch it. That's why I guess I am the way I am now. I've learned from going through it, not because my parents told me no, don't do. I had to learn personally. So okay.
Okay.